We are leaving Astipalea. Now, Astipalea, honestly, after yesterday, after visiting what could only be described as like one of the most beautiful places we've been to, we're heading off towards Santorini, which is a very, very, very famous place. We are booked in. We have booked 3 nights on a mooring ball. But now we're just going to get the anchor up and get on with our day.
I'm Terysa, this is Nick, and this is Ruby Rose 2, our floating home. If you want early access and ad-free videos, plus loads of other benefits, please consider joining our Patreon community. And for additional lifestyle and technical content, including exclusive podcasts, sign up to our Substack newsletter. Otherwise, please consider subscribing to our channel and leave a comment because we love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this episode.
So we're underway. We were saying this, we met a really lovely Estonian family. They were on the project for Monohull. We obviously used to be on the project for Monohull. We were just saying, the big difference for us with catamaran sailing is, and then insert as applicable, but one thing that actually we were laughing about is that when we were on the monohull, before we went sailing, we had to get coffee out of the way, have breakfast done, have everything packed and stowed for passage.
Lunch made up.
Have things made up. And now we actually just get going and then do all the preparation on the way because it's just so flat calm. It sounds like a small thing, but it's probably safe for us about an hour a day, right? And we don't rush in the morning. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll just get going. So anyway, in tradition of keeping things local, this morning's breakfast is Greek yogurt, and then Terysa went into a shop of local delicacies. So we have
Preserved quince.
preserved honeyed quince.
Yeah. That's nice. Very sweet.
Another day sailing Greece means another day feeding into not that much wind, but probably a solid 10 knots. So we've got about 17 knots apparent. We don't have the jib out because we don't have the sailing angle, where I think that our apparent wind angle is about 25 degrees. The main is not giving us any drive, but it is at least filled. It's not flapping around. So yeah, that's really it. I can see, what's it called? Anafi in the distance. We're only about 15 miles away. So we'll be there before lunch, which will be lovely. I've got some work to do this afternoon so I can get this week's episode out to our patrons. But despite the fact that we don't have a sailing angle, which I'm a bit disappointed about because I thought looking at the forecast we would, but anyway, that's fine. Despite not having a sailing angle, then it's still such a beautiful day to be on the water, as always here in Greece. I mean, the weather's just insanely, insanely good.
We are just approaching Anafi, just there. Essentially, this is just for us a one-night anchor to get to Santorini, which is another 25 miles. A lot of people say to us, well, what do you use to navigate? What do you use to find good marinas? Well, a couple of points. We use a couple of sources. Firstly, Navily. And we're not sponsored or endorsed by any of these companies. They're just information. So Navily is really good because of the user reviews that go on it. And actually, what I would say about the Navily website is that a lot of marinas that sign up to Navily, you can book your berths or using it. So it's actually a really useful thing, Navily. The other thing that we're using at the moment is we've got Navionics charts. There's a lot of kind of community edits on that, and so what I did, I went onto the internet and downloaded the community edits on Navily. So we can kind of, for anchoring purposes, it's kind of good because most people actually geotag their anchorages. Because we had to get new charts, we were given the option of CMAP versus Navily. And I actually downloaded both because I was in such a panic. But the Navionics one, not CMAP and Navionics, the Navionics one has sonar readings on it, which basically mean that rather than just being a 20 meter, a 10 meter and a 5 meter contour line, it has meter increments. So that for us, anchoring is really, really useful. And thus far, they are insanely accurate. And then in addition to that, finally using Navily again, and I think they use Google Earth to get satellite imagery. It's actually really useful when you're looking at a whole bay or a whole anchoring field to work out where sand is, because we've had some issues over the last year with anchoring. This Saka anchor was useless in Thailand, and it wasn't a lack of understanding, or sometimes it was, but by the end of our time in Thailand, you know, we had the anchoring technique on this boat actually down pat. I believe that the anchor is slightly undersized for this boat, and going up one size would be useful. However, what I would say about this anchor in sand, as opposed to the kind of soft mud and shale that we were getting in Thailand, this anchor is like, yeah, it's pretty bang on. It's so yeah, anchor in sand, drop in sand. Terysa looks over the bow as we drop to make sure that we're in a sandy patch wherever possible, and we have anchored in seagrass. And then, yeah. So yeah, we should hopefully be tied up in an hour.
Don't know if you can see on top of that huge mountaintop, there's what looks like a little church. It's very beautiful. You want to get the sail down? Okay, ready?
Down.
Okay.
I want you to make sure
Yeah.
that you watch this for
Yeah, I will do.
oh, she's coming back. Follow it down the way. Yeah, rock back up.
Back up? Okay.
Rock back up, yeah.
Fairly straightforward for us. We're in 15 meters of water and it is crystal clear. It's like a swimming pool. But fair amount of swell. So not sure what it's going to be like in the anchorage. We're almost there. We'll tackle that in a minute when we get there. But yeah, this water is insane. Really hoping that breakwater does a good job of breaking up the swell in the actual anchorage. But it looks like a really nice place to spend the night. Alright, we anchored. There's a lot of swell coming into this bay, probably why no one else is here. And the harbour is right there, but we don't want to deal with the faff of trying to tie ourselves up to a harbour town wall. So we're going to Santorini. We're just 20 miles away. It's only midday, so we've got plenty of time. That's a shame because this looks really, really pretty, but the swell in here. It's alright if you're pointing into the swell, but as soon as the wind dies down, it's a nightmare. Yeah, so we move on.
We'll move on.
But anyway, I can see Santorini, the giant island of Santorini right in front of us. I've texted someone there who manages and runs some buoys. I'll see whether he gets back to me about any availability. You got these fishermen? You got these fishermen here? Yeah. Good news, we have confirmation that there is a mooring ball available for tonight. So we can head straight to the mooring field, pick up a buoy, and then explore Santorini tomorrow. How exciting.
I'm going to probably open myself up to a heap of abuse on the internet here.
Oh, stop everything. Careful, don't scare her. Oh. Oh, aren't you sweet? Look at you. Oh, we're right near your food. Hey? We'll give you a little bit of space. Oh. Look. Oh. Anyway, what were you saying?
I was going to say that actually I kind of think that so far I've been, and I know we're horrendously spoiled, but I'm pretty underwhelmed by this so far. It is an absolute tourist hellhole. I think when we came around the island, I must have seen 20 catamarans, just day boats, just like ram full of people and blaring music.
There's 3 massive cruise ships in the harbour.
There's three full size. I mean, there'll be like 30,000 people up there seeing the sunset. And I think that we're very lucky. I think that that's the whole thing, right? Some people, like, that's their thing. For me, we do this to be far from the madding crowd. And this is actually, you know, we're privileged enough to be able to do this, but not really my jam.
This is the anchorage or the mooring field, and every buoy has a big day boat on it, which is fine.
Between 20 and 50 people on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's fine. You know, as I said, we are just very, 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 very fortunate that we tend to search out smaller, less crazy places.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting, actually, when we've done all these islands, to come and work out which we consider to be our number one.
Well, I couldn't choose between all the islands we've visited so far. Everywhere has been amazing in its own special way.
I just need to point out that under that table there's a whole family of kittens.
What's going on with you? Are you okay? What's going on with you? You can barely walk. Are you okay? I don't think that kitten's okay. Like, it can't even walk. Well, anyway, we have found a little Euro spa that's still open. Apparently everything's closing in like 20 minutes because all the day boats leave and so all the restaurants close. The alternative is to climb up a cliff to find a village up there, up the top of the mountain, which looks lovely. But frankly, we've had a long day and I'm not up for a 20-minute uphill trek. We did that yesterday. We'll be doing plenty of walking tomorrow, I'm sure. So our mission tomorrow is to get on a ferry going over to the main island. Alright, so tomorrow's mission is going to be getting over to the main island and then exploring. I'm sure it's beautiful. Santorini is iconic because of its beauty, so I'm looking forward to it, I really am. And then, yeah, we'll be moving on. Good morning, everyone. This is where we're going this morning. We are heading across the way to Oya in Santorini. So we're on a little island called, what is this place called? Terysa. So we're here, clearly. And there are 2 main towns in Santorini. One is Oya, which is here, and one is Fira, which is here. So we're going to go to Oya because it's nice and close. So we're going to go there and check it out. Apparently it's very picturesque and beautiful. And getting home again is we're going to see how that all pans out because the ferries back aren't till the evening. So we either spend an entire day on the island, and if the weather weren't as hot then I'd be happy to do that, but it is so hot that being out literally from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. walking and being in the heat just does not appeal. We might end up having to get a private taxi boat back, which are quite expensive, 60 euros, and it's only 2 miles away. I'm like, what? I mean, Santorini is obviously a very touristy place and you expect things to be a bit more expensive, but normally Greece is actually very reasonable. So yeah, 60 euros seems like a lot for a 2-mile passage or journey. I'm not sure if we've mentioned so far, but my expectations of Santorini are definitely tempered. Last night we got in at about 4 and yeah, we're in like a little mooring field, again on an island kind of that isn't even the main island, and the mooring field was completely full of boats, like day boats, catamarans on day trips, full of people, blaring music, lots of people in the water shouting, screaming, laughing, yelling at each other. And that's all fine, and like they're on holiday, they're probably on their 1 2-week holiday, 1 week holiday for the whole year. They're having fun. Probably their boat trip is the highlight of their holiday, and I don't begrudge them having a good time at all, but it's kind of not the vibe that we usually seek out, so it was a little bit kind of hectic. All that to say that I think Santorini overall is pretty touristy, and I have some thoughts about that, but I'm going to wait to see how I feel about Oya and the main island first before I form an impression.
this beautiful green strand can only mean one thing. We're on a day trip. We're on a day trip with my Bunnings hat. I think the best thing I can say about Santorini at the moment is I'm going to reserve judgment until such a point that we've been there.
I said exactly the same thing.
It is meant to
Moments
be.
ago.
It is meant to be mind-numbingly beautiful.
Yes.
But I think that beauty attracts. I mean, we saw probably 4 or 5 really big cruise ships, and I kind of think that sometimes the serenity and the tranquility of a place is actually what lends it its beauty. And if you have a place that is overrun with 40,000 people, it kind of is going to detract from that. However, we come from a very privileged position.
Yes.
Yada yada yada. Okay.
So let's go and explore, and we'll reserve judgment.
We
We'll
will.
see what it's like together.
Together. Okay, Terysa, buddy. Upstairs. Okay. It's like being on the bus when I was coming home from school. We're just discussing what would happen if we stole these fenders.
We could do with some nice big fenders.
That's a really beautiful shot, actually.
Prove my words.
Can we stop?
At what time do we go back? What time do you go back? Yes?
The 9 and 10. Boat,
Yes.
the 9 and 10 the night.
9 and 10 at night. Okay. Another boat to go
It's the one wide, it's the 5 and 30.
5:30. Okay. That's
Here, yeah? 5:30 here, okay.
5:30. Yeah, that's what Manoli said. Another day in Greece. Another climb on a mountain.
I'm gonna have thighs like a rugby player by the end of this couple. Wow. Alright, well, we've got about 1,000 of these to do.
All right, let's Good grief.
There's a donkey that goes up here.
I'd rather walk. Nice view.
In the age of social media halls, we have found ourselves to be in the bordello. There are so many people that have clearly dressed up for today. It's in dresses and hats and all sorts of finery to get these shots. It's actually very nice to see, but me and my ripped up Bunnings hat is not where I want to be. Yeah, far from the madding crowd, eh? Selfie queue. A little selfie shot then.
To be fair, that is a nice one. To be fair, she's going to be really glad that she waited.
So, Santorini, overview. Incredibly beautiful, incredibly. If I could wave a magic wand and take these tens of thousands of people away, it still wouldn't be any more beautiful than some of the places we've already visited. I think we've seen such amazing Greek islands, both mountaintop settlements and also, little harbours. It's not incredibly, it's beautiful, but not substantially different. And obviously the whole point is that there are 20, 30,000 people just streaming past, and everywhere there's a viewpoint. That's a queue for a selfie. So there are just queues after queues after queues after queues and queues of people all trying to take selfies of themselves, which is fine. The view is beautiful. Pool there, nice view of Santorini, yada yada yada.
Where they hear about us.
But there are tens of thousands of people here. I can count
two very, very big cruise ships. So yes, it's beautiful, very, very beautiful, insanely expensive. We just spent 18 euros on 2 orange juices, which, well, what we pay for here. So yeah, Santorini, I don't know, beautiful, but I think we want something far more isolated than this. Anyway, interested to see the dynamic. We will head back to the boat soon, I believe.
These donkeys don't look happy. Look, that one's just facing into the wall.
I think the whole definition of donkeys is they never look happy.
That one's just facing into the wall.
So what do you say?
I think I'm going to leave my thoughts for a time when the audio will be better. Let's make it together. And we're off. Goodbye, Oya. I don't think I'll be back.
Basically, Santorini seems to be the common name for 2 towns that are on a mountain. I kind of think, look, it is world famous for just being like beautiful, quintessentially Greek, all blue and white. Honestly, I've been once, I won't go again. And I'm just, because we come from such a position of seeing these far-flung Greek fishing villages that are beautiful and are as beautiful as that, without the 30,000 tourists all been
More than 30,000.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. We are literally, it got to the point where you have to queue up just to say, take a selfie, and there's a queue of like 20 people looking for a selfie spot, and each of them takes 5 minutes. It seems like a nonsense, and that's before we get to like the big selling point of Santorini, which is sunset.
Yeah. Apparently, like the sunset views from Oya, where we were today, are spectacular.
So it will literally be a bun fight up there now, getting positioned to get that one shot. And
yeah.
I get it. Everyone wants different things. Very, very beautiful. As I said to Terysa today, even if we waved a magic wand and there was just no one here, and we had the same number of people as we had in 3 or 4 other different Greek places, it's still not substantially more beautiful than anywhere else.
I disagree. Okay, so what I will say, because I've thought about this, I think Santorini, from what we've seen, we obviously haven't seen all of it by any stretch, is as beautiful as I expected. So it met my expectations in terms of aesthetic. It is stunning, you have to admit. Oya, where we went, is absolutely beautiful. So if you want like jaw-dropping aesthetic, like Greeked up to the max, like Greece on steroids, I think that Oya delivers aesthetically. You cannot deny that the views and the aesthetic is jaw-dropping. So I think that aesthetically it lived up to, and because I think actually exceeded my expectations from that perspective. However, I think as a vibe, it's completely ruined by the hordes of tourists. I think generally becoming a little bit more cognizant of over-tourism and the impacts of, like the negative impacts of tourism. I think that's all very well and good to say, well, like the economy, like the local economy really depends on tourists. But I think that and this is before I've done any Googling, so I'm just going off what I've seen today. But I think that I see a real danger of over-tourism here in Santorini. Like there are signs everywhere saying like, please respect this place, this is our home, it's just your holiday. And you can see that there's no real sense of Greek culture. It's purely a setting for taking like Instagrammable photos, in my opinion. Like, so I think that if you're thinking about where to go on your Greek holiday, I would say if you're going to come to Santorini, and this is the mooring field here. People are on their evening cruise. So not very, relaxed. If you're thinking about coming to Santorini, I'm not saying don't come to Santorini, I'm saying come to Santorini like out of season when it's not so absurdly packed with tourists. A, you'll have a better time, and I'm sure, and B, like it just spreads like the burden out over the course of the year, because I don't know, and this is before I've done any Googling, like maybe the local people of Santorini are just like, please, the more tourists the better. But like, to me, the aesthetic does not is not the
But can I
important
just
thing.
point something actually? That I take on board what you're saying, but to me, they've ruined it.
Yeah,
and I don't.
that's
But I
the short
don't. I
version of what I'm
don't
saying.
mean that they've ruined it through over tourism. I think they've ruined it by essentially doing Greek culture by numbers.
Exactly.
Like literally, all these plunge pools and infinity pools.
Yeah.
It's catering to high-end tourism.
Yeah.
And they've essentially plasticized, the Greek tourism
That's
industry.
right. That's
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying as well,
Right, so they-
in a different way, but the same
Right.
point.
So so it's like a plastic version of Greece.
Yeah.
That might as well all be in a casino somewhere
Absolutely.
in Las Vegas.
Yeah, there is no sense of the real Oya, the town we went to today. There is no sense of that being a real place where real Greek people live. It is purely, as Nick said, just a series of cafes, villas and shops and beautiful little pebbled, cobblestone streets and steps and a few kind of gorgeous, like, domed churches that you can take photos at. If you could create, like, the perfect Greek aesthetic, then that would be it. But it's got no sense of being
There's no character to it.
No.
That's exactly it. The soul is stripped out of it
Yeah.
because they've just literally done Greece. So basically, Santorini, I can get where probably, if you've gone there 50 years ago, like the most amazing place on earth. But it
Absolutely.
is clearly a position, and I'm not blaming the Greeks. I love the Greeks, and I've spent 25 years around here. They are driven 100% by tourism, but that has essentially turned into something which is no longer what it should be. The soul has gone out of it.
Absolutely, it is soulless. And so, obviously from our perspective, like, this is not giving us, like, this isn't the setting that we normally enjoy. We've got day triple boats all around us. People are making, they're having a great time. They're on holiday. They're spending a lot of money. They're entitled to make a lot of noise when they're jumping off the boat. But from a cruiser's perspective, it's not really what we generally seek out. But even as, in terms of if we're recommending somewhere for you to go on your holiday, or even like your charter, if you're taking like a charter cruise somewhere, sailing around Greece on a holiday, like, I would honestly say, like, if you absolutely are desperate to come to Santorini and get those photographs, and really that's the only reason I would say come to Santorini, if like Instagrammability is your only real priority, if all you want to do is get dressed up, have your makeup done, have your hair done, wear something really nice, and have a series of photos taken for your holiday. And I'm not knocking that, because if you've got a week off a year and that's your idea of fun, then that's your prerogative. Like, you're allowed to do that. I'm not going to knock that. That's
But
not
I'm just
a
saying to you
judge.
that a lot of the views that we had from Nisidos and Astipalea were comparable with the blue domes and the white in the seas.
Yeah, and well, from us, they provided more. They were more special for us because it was just a place where Greek people lived, and there were a couple of tourists that happened to be there.
Okay.
So anyway, I think that I'm gonna.
Let's just round this up.
I'm just gonna wrap up. I personally don't think that you can compare anywhere else that we've been to so far to Santorini in terms of the visuals. I think the views were jaw-dropping. That village as an aesthetic was jaw-droppingly beautiful, but as Nick said, it was soulless, it was Greece by numbers, it was essentially just a setting for people to have their photographs taken. And also, I think that there is a real danger of over-tourism here, and that's not even getting into the animal tourism side of things with the donkeys.
All right. So my final point before we wave goodbye.
Yes,
How many stars on your Amazon review?
like 2
2. Yeah, same.
out of 5.
2 out of 5 Amazon review, just, bitterly disappointing. Anyway, thanks for that.
And €9 for an orange juice. And like, it must be a really expensive holiday. If you're spending your holiday there, that must be like extremely expensive.
Well, those cruises, money, you just burning money anyway. Anyway, thanks
Anyway,
for watching
well, look, I am interested to hear what your thoughts are, because a lot of you would have been to Santorini on holiday and maybe you loved it. And I would like to, I researched Santorini before we came here. Everything online's overwhelmingly positive, as you would expect. So if you've been to Santorini, let us know whether you agree with us or whether you're like, actually, that was a holiday of a lifetime and I love Santorini, I want to go back. We will see you next week with a brand new episode. We are going somewhere completely different. This is like one end of the spectrum, and we are going, I hope,
Middle of what?
to somewhere calm, serene, hopefully not many people, just us and nature, and I'm looking forward to it.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
bye.